San from Gibraltar's Jewish community, and I am honoured to welcome the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland QC, who took office as Secretary General of the Commonwealth in April 2016. She currently serves the 54 governments and 2.4 billion people of the Commonwealth. Born in Dominica, she moved to the UK at an early age and was brought up in a large, close-knit Caribbean family. A lawyer by profession, she became the first Black and youngest woman ever to be appointed Queen's Counsel. She is the only woman since the post was created to be Attorney General for England and Wales, and was also Attorney General for Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome, Secretary General.
Naomi, it was very kind of you to do that introduction, and I'm so humbled that you have introduced me so nicely, and I was so precipitous, so please forgive me. I was saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are, because to have the Commonwealth, you know, the sun doesn't set on our Commonwealth, so it's wonderful to have all the women coming in from all over our regions. So let me open, as I was saying, by just saying once again what an absolute pleasure it is to connect with you all on this really very, very special occasion, and by thanking Laura and Naomi for your very kind words. Now, this new network launched today is truly a commendable initiative, and I say that because it's always good to see people from Commonwealth countries and communities joining together in goodwill and practical action. And I say it too because this particular network promises to be an exemplary in expressing those characteristics which combine to such beneficial effect and impact in Commonwealth settings. We celebrate our shared inheritances. We recognise that we all enjoy multiple identities. We respect and embrace diversity, and we're committed to inclusivity. Now, if you have not already come across it, may I commend to you the report of the Commonwealth Commission on Respect and Understanding, which explores those themes in depth. Chaired by the Nobel laureate Professor Amartya Sen, the Commission was established in response to the request by leaders at the 2005 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Malta for the Commonwealth Secretary General, and this is what they said they had to do, explore initiatives to promote mutual understanding and respect among all faiths and communities in the Commonwealth. Indeed, 10 years ago, the report of the Commission and Amartya Sen himself made important contributions to our Commonwealth Secretariat Symposium on Women as Agents of Change, which was convened to mark the centenary of International Women's Day. Now, I identify with so much that was represented in the report, particularly being aware of and valuing my own multiple identities. Indeed, I am perhaps a classic child of the Commonwealth. As you know, I was born in the Caribbean and growing up in multicultural, multi-religious London. My mother from Dominica, my father from Antigua. My mother was a devout Catholic and my father an observant Methodist. But we lived next door to the Boundary Road Orthodox Shul, the synagogue that was in Walthamstow, which is in the east end of London. We were a family of 12 children. I was the 10th of my parents' children, and my sister and I were the only Catholic members of the Orthodox Jewish Youth Club, which was run by the cantor and which met every Shabbat. So for many people, I think they all thought we were very, very observant Jews. And it was a community, therefore, that I grew to love and understand. And as I grew up, my close friends were Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, and different denominations of Christians. And my parents were truly ecumenical. and taught us to always concentrate on what joined us to others as opposed to what separates us. And they saw the beauty in all traditions, all people, and taught us to value and welcome them all. So there is so much besides which makes me who I am, as there is to each and every one of you, each of us shaped by a multiplicity of experiences which has shaped our individual identities. In my own case, the pathway which led eventually to my being entrusted with the responsibilities of Secretary General of the Commonwealth included training as a lawyer, being appointed as a Queen's Counsel at a young age, becoming a member of the House of Lords, serving as a minister in the Home Office, the Lord Chancellor's Department, and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. And as you know, I was the first woman since 1315 to be Attorney General of England, Wales, and also Northern Ireland. But I also loved modern expression ballet, which I did when I was young. I was a 400-meter champion runner. I played netball. I love cricket. I'm a wife, a proud mother of 2 sons, and I'm a woman of faith. So as a person shaped by all these experiences and with skills developed through my education and career, I've been able to join with others, such as yourselves, to offer leadership on transforming policy, legislation, and most importantly, attitudes with regard to violence against women and domestic abuse. Making our homes places of safety for girls and boys, for women and men of all ages, is a priority concern for me and for the Commonwealth collectively. Without peace in our home, there will never be peace in our communities or in our world. So I hope that through your network, you will consider as a focus of action, joining with us in our initiative to end domestic violence, the Commonwealth Says No More campaign. It's also an important part of our Commonwealth commitment to gender equality, women's empowerment, and women's rights. We mobilise action more broadly among our 54 member countries through other mechanisms. These include convening a high-level policy dialogue facilitated through the Commonwealth Women's Forum held alongside CHOGM, which is the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. There is also our Commonwealth Women Affairs Ministers meeting and our annual consultation with the National Women's Machineries, which takes place at the margins of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. The 4 specific Commonwealth priorities for gender equality and women's empowerment were endorsed by our ministers representing members governments on our 11th and 12th Women's Affairs Ministers meeting. Now they are women in leadership, women's economic empowerment, ending violence against women and girls, and gender and climate change. These align with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs and with other international instruments. But the most important instrument for us, of course, is the Commonwealth Charter, because the Commonwealth Charter, which was signed by Her Majesty the Queen in Marlborough House in 2013, really pre-configured and pre-shadowed the SDGs. So SDG 1 to 16 is exactly the same as our Commonwealth Charter 1 to 16, and then SDG 17, which as you know is all about partnership, is the cornerstone of everything we do in the Commonwealth. What we're doing today is about that partnership, working together for common good. So in September, we convened a high-level meeting of Commonwealth ministers for gender and women's affairs. And at that virtual gathering, it became evident that the fear in many countries is that the progress, that hard-won progress through global efforts and by successfully mainstreaming gender equality may be severely set back by the far-reaching consequences of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, women have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19, and there have been increased losses of livelihood among women and greater declines in small to medium enterprise owned by women. The strains are exacerbated by the vastly overstretched health services and by heightened levels of domestic violence. And developing economies and small states are extremely vulnerable to recession, and the tourism and agricultural sectors in which women are overrepresented have been hit very hard. We can all see that COVID-19 has tended to affect men and women, boys and girls differently. It is vital for there to be special focus on women and girls in efforts towards economic, social and political recovery, and for coping with the new norm, so that the planning to build back better and build forward and with greater resilience, we include the distinctive needs, capacities and expertise of all in our communities. So I am really heartened and encouraged by what you are now doing, because the topics and the range of topics to be discussed shortly in your breakout groups are really important. And I look forward before that, and in a few moments following the other speakers, to opening up our conversation. Your energy and our collective Commonwealth connections can be great drivers and channels for dynamic change. And I recall the powerful rallying call that went up from the Women's Forum at the Malta Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in 2015, when I was chosen to be the Secretary General, where the women at that meeting said, alone, we are invisible. Together, we are invincible. Now, that was a great slogan, and I don't think it's copyright, so we can use it. But I also remember, as I know Laura remembers, that glorious meeting that we had in London in 2018, when we linked arms and we sang, you know, we are family, and I have all my sisters with me. And so even though it's only virtual, can I say how glad I am that we have all our sisters with us today. And I wish you well at the launch of this first meeting, but I know it's going to be just the first, not the last, and we will do great things. So thank you everybody for being committed to this. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for your wisdom, your acuity, and your commitment, because I think by choosing to come together, you are going to make things better and you will be part of the change. So God bless all of you for being willing to do this. Thank you very much indeed. Back to you.